I did not see you there. My name is Cody, and this is the Discriminating Gamer. Today we're going to take a look at Napoleon, the Waterloo Campagne 4th edition from Columbia Games. A game that is so French, you will call it toast. French toast, really? French toast, that's what you gave me, French toast? I'm just gonna keep smoking my fake invisible cigarette. In Napoleon, from Columbia Games, 2 to 3 players take on the roles in the historic Waterloo campaign of 1815, June 1815 to be precise. Now, one player will take on the role of Napoleon, and 1 or 2 players will take on the role of the Allies. This consists, of course, of the Anglo-Dutch army and the Prussian army. You can split that up, or they can play it together as one player. Now, this is a block war game, and the first thing that you will notice about this game is that the map does not involve hexes, it does not involve squares or territories. Rather, it is simply a map, and you have various cities. Now, the cities are essentially your spaces. What you're going to do is have the various blocks move along the spaces from one city to the next. Now, depending on the size of the road, that will tell you how many troops you can take along the road. For instance, if you have major roads, you can move up to 8 blocks, and if you have smaller roads, you can move up to 6 blocks. But the whole game is essentially activating groups of units in cities and moving them forward in the hopes of attacking other units in other cities. Now, it's a block war game, and there is a fog of war. You don't know what your enemy's pieces are, what their strengths are, but of course you have that information. You rotate, of course, the blocks to determine exactly where the strength of that unit is. Now, there are 2 cards that kind of show the actual historical setup of the units. You can follow that, or you can go ahead and kind of set up your own units according to the rules found in the rule book. There's an alternating track between F for French and A for Allies at the bottom of the track. And each turn, you're going to go ahead and move a marker along the bottom of that track to show whether or not it is the French's turn or the Allies' turn. Now, some of the movements are dark. In that case, you are at night. And night essentially means you can't attack. You can move and regroup all you want, but you cannot attack at night. Now, each player is trying to eliminate a certain number of his enemy blocks. The French player has to eliminate a certain number of the Anglo-Dutch army and a certain number of the Prussian army, whereas the Allies have to eliminate simply a certain number of the French army. Now, you can just do that through combat, or you can try to hit their supply lines. At least the French can try to hit the Allied supply lines. If the French take the cities of Liège, Brussels, or Ghent, and they hold it, then that is going to deny units to the Allied player. They're going to have to begin to eliminate units because they can no longer keep them in supply. Now, when units get into a battle, what you do is you actually go from the strategic map to a battle board. And the battle board has, of course, 3 sections, a right, center, and a left on each side, as well as a reserve. Now, each side has that, and of course, like in any game where you got a right, center, and left, you have to make sure you have units in all of those sections at all times. Now, if you're attacking somebody and one side has less than 3 units, then it's a skirmish. You just hurry and do kind of one round of combat and figure it out. But if both sides have 3 or more, then you go to the battle board. Now, while you're in the battle board, each unit has essentially an action. You can either engage, meaning move forward into the enemy's territory, or you can disengage, move out of it, or back to the reserve, or you can attack while you are engaged. Cavalry, of course, can do 2, but or they can move and attack, whereas infantry just has to move, endure kind of whatever the enemy throws at it, then it can attack. You have artillery, which of course has can fire from one section into another section. So there's some kind of historical and thematically appropriate movements and attacks that these units have. For instance, cavalry gets an advantage when it comes in and attacks, kind of a shock advantage for that round. If you attack into an area with artillery, then that artillery gets kind of a +1 modifier for that round because it's like they're firing grape shot. Now, you also have terrain that will modify combat. The attacker will choose one of these green blocks. Randomly, they won't be able to see it. And the defender will choose 2 randomly. They won't be able to see it. Both the attacker and the defender then will figure out where they want to place in their right, center, or left that piece of terrain. Now, some of the terrain, like a hill, is going to give artillery an advantage. There's a farmhouse that will give defending infantry an advantage. Woods will kind of hide infantry from artillery attack, and so on and so forth. There's all these sorts of things that can play into it. You can put a stream, which means you can only be attacked with 2 units at a time. So there's all sorts of modifiers like that will happen during combat. You can even, as infantry, if you're being attacked by cavalry, form square. And form square is a very good maneuver against cavalry, but you got to watch out because enemy infantry or artillery can really tear those things apart. Now, when you take hits in battle, you rotate, of course, to your appropriate strength level. So if you've got a strength of 4, you're going to roll 4 die. Now, there's a little number, F whatever, fire whatever, and that means that's what you hit at. If you're an F2, you're going to roll 4 die that hit at a 2 or a 1. Or if your strength is at 2, but you're an F3, you're going to roll 2 die that hit at a 3 or less. So that's kind of how you're going to know it. You also have various cores that you kind of need to keep your cores together in battles. But as you're doing this, you're trying to wear down the enemy. Now, what's cool is after a round, after your turn rather, you can also bring in reinforcements from adjacent cities into the battle, into the reserve, and then next turn you can move them in to kind of keep the battle going. And so in that respect, it's very much like, battle engaged, and people are streaming in, other troops are streaming in, units are streaming in, that can keep you going. Now, the battle ends, of course, when one side smashes into the other side's flank, center, or if one side chooses to retreat. If you retreat, there's attrition rules. You may lose units or take strength damage. And then, of course, whoever loses the battle on the board has to retreat from the battle on the big board. Now, both sides win the game if they eliminate a certain number of units from the enemy. The French win if they eliminate a certain number of the Anglo-Dutch units and Prussian units. The Allies win if they eliminate a certain number of French units as well. But also, too, if the French at any time occupy 2 of the victory cities, again, that's Ghent, Belgium, and Liège, if they occupy 2 of those, they win the game. Or if all of the time expires, I think the last day is June 22nd, if that goes by and the French have not won the game, then the Allies win the game. So, I used to play a lot more war games. I was never like a big, heavy war gamer. I never did like, ASL or anything like that. But, I played a lot of games that were kind of like this kind of medium complexity level game. Played a lot of these back in the day, and I really, really enjoyed kind of lighter war games and medium level war games. And, this is a game that is I played Julius Caesar from Columbia Games, which is another block war game, which I really enjoyed a lot. And it was very fun. And the good people at Columbia contacted me, asked me if I'd like to review this one. And, I'm thinking, yeah, sure. I love the theme. I love the Napoleonic Wars. You've probably seen me review some Napoleonic games on here before. I love the theme. And I was thinking, a block war game, that could be fun. And if it's like Julius Caesar, I like Julius Caesar. So I kind of went into this, optimistic, thinking I would probably enjoy this game. I was very intrigued with the map. I thought it looked so cool that you don't have spaces or hexes. It's just cities into other cities. I thought that was very, very, very cool. Really liked that. And we sit down, we play the game, and we find that, obviously there's a few little rules here and there we had to look up, but generally it's pretty easy to learn. Pretty easy to learn and figure out. Not hard there by any means. Certainly not to anybody who's played a block war game before. And what I found while I was playing this game the first time was it is amazing. I'm not holding back here, no punches. This was just an awesome game. I loved Napoleon. I loved this game. I got to play this some more, but this is really probably going to be one of my favorite war games. This is probably definitely going to make my top 100 list this year. I'm thinking probably top 50, maybe even higher than that. I don't want to say that because I got to play this more, but man alive, I really like this game a lot. It's fun. It's strategic. I love the tactical battles. I love games that have the strategic board and they have the tactical board. I remember Eagle Games came out with a system, early 2000s, where they did a Napoleon in Europe game and they did an American Civil War game. I think they were redoing their Napoleon game. But I had that concept. If you have the big strategic board and then you have the little battle boards. And I love that aspect with the right, left, center. And what I like about here in this Napoleon is it's elegant and it's simple, but it is tough decisions, man. Am I gonna attack, or am I just gonna hold the line here? Or do I want them to come to me? Do I want to reinforce, or do I want to cut my losses and get out of there? And when you're retreating, when I gotta leave, do I want to fall back to this city where I'm safer and I'm covering roads to like Ghent? Or do I want to, move over this way, which leaves me exposed, but I'm better able to reinforce another battle that I know is going to come here? And, oh, man, I love this game. I loved it. I just, man, like I said, I thought going into it I would like it. I was optimistic. I liked Julius Caesar. I mean, Julius Caesar's been a top 100 game, I think, I know it was the first year, and I think it was last year. I like Julius Caesar. I think Julius Caesar's a fun game. This, to me, blows Julius Caesar out of the water. I freaking love this game so much. Wow, I love this game. I can't say that enough. Now, having heaped praise upon it, I will say I have two minor complaints about this game. Two minor complaints. First one, the board needed to be bigger. You get all of the blocks bunched up in the cities. You can get some spillage, and you kind of get confused which city it's in. I wish the board was bigger. That's something I wish. Board looks beautiful. I think it's kind of a good stock, but it needed to be bigger. That's my first complaint. Second complaint, even though it is fairly simple, I wish some of the things like the attrition roll charts and even kind of things you're doing in battle, I wish there had been some player aids. I wish you had some little cards that you could look at. And I'm sure you could print those off. They probably got them on Board Game Geek. I haven't looked yet, but I wish there had been some player aids. Player aids and a bigger board, and this would have been, as far as I'm concerned, a perfect war game. As it is, it's amazing. I really like it. I know there's an option where if you get like a second set, you can do kind of a double blind thing, so you don't even know where your enemy's troops are until you actually go into the city. And I'm thinking, man, that's awesome. And I'm thinking maybe I should get another copy. I don't know. We'll see. But I really like this game. No brainer for me. If you like light war games, or I should say, if you like light to medium war games that are easy to learn, but there's a lot of strategic depth there, man, pick up Napoleon the Waterloo Campaign 4th edition here from Columbia Games. It is freaking awesome. I love it. Recommendation, buy it, buy it, buy it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer. And the first time I played Napoleon, I was actually on a hill with artillery, and I fired and I killed Napoleon, because he's a character in the game. I actually killed him. And from thenceforward, I refer to him, of course, as Napoleon blown apart.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I've been dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
Do not screw this up.